I know a lot of people were confused looking at the NFL schedule and thinking to themselves, wait a second, there is no Cowboys-Eagles game in prime time. There is no Cowboys-Eagles game that's going to be shown across the entire country. Well, there might be a reason for that. Welcome everybody to JJ9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Gear 9, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are still talking about the NFL schedule that came out yesterday. Again, we got coverage every hour on the hour here. We're doing the night shift right now, so be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, so don't miss a moment of the action when we do post a video, because there is a lot to dissect with the schedule, as you can probably imagine. And one of them is Week 17. We're going to talk about the 5 Week 17 games that are rumored for Saturday that will get whittled down to 3 as the weeks go on. That'll be a future video, but I want to talk about something else with Week 17, and that is the Fox schedule for that week at America's Game of the Week. So Week 17, you got the Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, that is going to be America's Game of the Week with Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady on the call. That is scheduled for 4:25 Eastern Time. However, what's interesting about this is that as things stand, there is no other 425 game listed, and on top of that, there is no 405 game listed on CBS. So CBS has the single header, but they always have one late game just to have as a single header option, and they don't have that. They have nothing. They've got, right now, 3 games listed, and all of them are taking place at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And Cowboys-Eagles, the lone game in the late window. So, what does this mean going forward? Obviously, you can flex schedule games. You can flex games in and out of certain time slots. If games are good, if games are bad, you can move them in and out. But the fact that there's no other 425 game listed on the initial schedule probably means that Fox is going to air this game across the entire country. And they're going to have the entire country watching Cowboys-Eagles, or at least having the option to watch Cowboys-Eagles. We know that Fox can televise a game across the entire country in the 425 window for America's Game of the Week. You are allowed to do that. Heck, it's happening this season in Week 7 when the Kansas City Chiefs play the San Francisco 49ers in a rematch of last year's Super Bowl, Super Bowl 58. They also did that with the Bills and the Cowboys last year. That was nationally televised across the entire country. CBS did that with Chiefs-Bills in 2022. Fox did that with Packers-Cowboys back in 2019. That has to be the idea there. And you would think with the lack of games on the Sunday schedule that it is absolutely practical and viable to do this as an option, especially because we don't just have precedent for this in the NFL. We have precedent for this with the Cowboys-Eagles game itself. Remember in 2022 on Christmas Eve, the Dallas Cowboys played the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 16. They aired that game across the entire country. There was no other game taking place at 4:25 Eastern Time on Fox. That was the only game in that window. So you got that game no matter where you were in the country, and guess what? It worked wonders. 28 million people ended up watching that game between the Cowboys and the Eagles, which is tough to do on Christmas Eve, because you figure there's a lot of people that go to Mass on Christmas Eve night. There's a lot of people that have Christmas Eve dinner. And yet, despite all that, 28 million viewers, which was staggeringly high. That's the largest Christmas Eve audience in NFL history for a regular season game. And Christmas Eve is usually not a good day for the NFL to play. There's a reason that Sunday Night Football on Christmas Eve takes place on NFL Network and not one of the major networks. There's a reason why this year, even though the NFL is playing on a Wednesday on Christmas, and they theoretically could play on Tuesday, they could absolutely play Tuesday. They have done it before. They're not playing on Christmas Eve this year. And yet, 2022, when the Cowboys played the Eagles on Christmas Eve, 28 million viewers. The ratings were insane. The viewership numbers were insane. So people want to watch Cowboys-Eagles, and if that's the national game, you're going to get eyeballs on that. Maybe 30 million viewers if both teams are good, and that game means the division. Now, there are the 5 games that are taking place on Saturday. Again, 3 of them will stay there. 2 of them will move to the Sunday slate. You have to figure that obviously Cardinals-Rams, if that does not get played Saturday, it's moving to the later window because you can't play that game at 1 o'clock Eastern. It's impossible because it'd be a 10 o'clock start time in Los Angeles, and that is forbidden by NFL rules. Remember that there is no conference affiliation anymore with networks, so NFC games don't have to take place on Fox. AFC games don't have to take place on CBS. You figure that 2 of the games are getting moved on Saturday. Each network right now has 3 games that they are airing, 3 on CBS, 3 on Fox on Sunday. So you figure that one of the games will move to CBS and the other one will move to Fox. One of the games will move to 4:05 on CBS. Cardinals-Rams, if that game does not get picked up by NFL Network as a Saturday game, that will be the 4:05 game. Otherwise, they'll just move one of the other games, or they will move one of the Saturday games that are not going to take place, and the other one will move to 1 o'clock on Fox. So you figure that what this means is Cardinals-Rams, I'd be very, very shocked week 17 if that game is airing on Fox, because again, it's impossible for that to take place at 1 o'clock Eastern and 4:25. I think Fox is going to do America's Game of the Week and televise that across the entire country to really get that Cowboys-Eagles NFC East audience and get those viewership numbers. And if you're wondering why there are so few games scheduled for that Sunday, even though you have no teams on bye that week, well, it's because of the other slots taking place on different days. So Wednesday, you have 2 Christmas games, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Texans. That's probably the reason why they didn't do 3 games on Christmas instead of 2. They could have made a lot of money for 3 Christmas games, could have got all in on that holiday like they did last year when they got great ratings, averaged about 30 million viewers on Christmas with 3 games. But they didn't do that this year, probably because it would be too few games on Sunday if they did that, because you also have a Thursday night game the day after that. You got a Monday night game between the Lions and the 49ers, and you got the 3 Saturday games, I should say, taking place on NFL Network. So if you did that, there would not be a lot of games on Sunday for week 17, and you have a 1993 situation all over again, where in 1993, there were 18 weeks, each team had 2 bye weeks, and there were some weeks that had 6 games. It was not good. The TV networks hated it, and that's probably the reason why they're not doing 3 games on Christmas, because the slate is already thin as it is. So it definitely leaves it open for Cowboys-Eagles to be shown at 4:25, because it's not like there's a lot of competition as it is. So of the 5 Saturday games, Broncos, Bengals, Cardinals, Rams, Chargers, Pats, Colts, Giants, Falcons, Commanders. Again, I'll break down all those games in a future video later tonight of why those games were chosen and whether it makes any sense or not. Spoiler alert, not so much. But one of those games will move to 1 o'clock. The other one will also move to 1 o'clock, unless it's Cardinals-Rams, which will be moved to 4:05 if that's the game that's picked. And one of those games that is currently on Sunday will move to the 4:05 window on CBS. You figure Panthers, Bucks, Titans, Jags, probably pretty good bets. I'd be shocked if Jets, Bills gets moved to the 4:05 single header window, because you really minimize how many people get to watch. But you figure Titans, Jags, Panthers, Bucks, or one of the games that is taking place on Saturday will move on CBS to the 4:05 window, and Fox will air the 4:25 game nationally with Cowboys-Eagles with no other competition on their network. So no matter where you are in the country, you'll be able to watch Cowboys-Eagles, Burkhardt, Brady. I'd be very, very surprised if that is not the case, unless the Cowboys and or the Eagles are absolutely god-awful this year. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Cowboys-Eagles, even though it has not been announced yet by Fox, will be nationally televised across the entire country? Do you think it's the right move? Do you like when networks televise games across the entire country and there's no other games regionally televised on the network? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that is going to do for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, Jaguar9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is Jaguar9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.